Test, test. I'm looking at the chat. I'm on stream, bro. What? Okay. Okay. Say you're 55. Okay. I'll be 60 in like 2 months. No. If I said 2 weeks, my bad. 2 months. July 20th. I'll be 60. July 20th, 1965. Manny, what up, man? No, those aren't doubles, bro. They are not doubles. Jack Jive. Nah, dog. I mean, I like Cab Calloway, but it's 2025, my brother. The doubles win. Now you talking about this? That ain't doubles. That ain't doubles. You know, like this I did. Yeah, I guess it's doubles when I did the paradiddle. You know, you know. Well, inverted paradiddles, but nah, these are singles, bro. That's all singles, man. One of the reasons why my singles are so developed is because I don't know. When I came up, we didn't have YouTube. So when I heard drummers play different roles and stuff, I didn't know they were playing doubles. I thought they were playing singles. So I learned everything that was done with a double. I learned it with singles. So I'm actually better, way better with singles than I am with doubles. Doubles, I'm kind of like, I could get them off. Like, Plus, another thing too is I play. Well, I ain't gonna give. I ain't gonna get that away. Um, you got to pay for that. Um, but what I did was I try to get all like singles, doubles, and paradiddles at the same speed, making sure I'm not muted. I do inverted paradiddles because like um, they sound like accented singles. Whenever I play the doubles I use, I start with a single and then go into a double and end with a single, like this. But that sounds like this. And both of those sound like this. They all sound relatively the same, so you know. Um, Plus, I just like inverted paradiddles better. They're easier to get them to sound really, really smooth, and they're easier to transition from singles to from singles to um, inverted paradiddles. It's easy to transition, you know, from one to the other. So I mean, I can play regular paradiddles. I just prefer inverted ones. Plus, a lot of the stuff I do, I make if I make a mistake, I'll turn it into a rudiment. Like I tried to do this one time. Somebody threw me a solo, and I was just like, I was trying to do it. I ended up going, and it was so. I promised myself. I said I'll never do that again. So I just went home and just made it. I made it a rudiment. You know, like for instance, I would listen to Billy Cobham, and I heard when I heard this, I thought it was, so that's what I learned. I learned it as singles. So I learned all that double stuff. Like I would go home and I would. This is back when they had the big long component sets. Um, and they would somebody threw one out, and that was like the record player that looked like a piece of furniture. And you open the cabinet in the middle, and it pulled out. Pause on that. It the phonograph actually slid out. Ooh, pause on that too. Um, but what I did was the one that I carried that whole thing home. It was on the curb. Somebody's throwing it away. I carried that thing home. I don't know how. I guess you got that kid strength. I was like, I don't know how I brought it home, but I made it home. I remember resting, like, oh, let me put it down, and then picking it up and just carrying it home. And what it did was it played at 78, 45, 33, and 17 and a third. And I remember getting Billy Cobham's Glass Menagerie and slowing it down. It was an album, slowing it down from 33 and a third to 17. And I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. And then I would just kind of learn it and build it up to speed, not knowing, you know, all the stuff he was doing with doubles. I didn't know he was doing doubles. I thought he was doing singles. So I just learned I was just this. I just it's just out of ignorance, basically. Not even basically. Just I was just ignorant. I didn't like we couldn't afford teachers, so for me, I was just like I just wanted to. I liked Billy Cobham. I like guys. You know, I like Tony Williams. I liked what's his name? Carl Palmer from Emerson Lake and Palmer. Then later on, it was Neil Peart. I learned every Neil Peart album and the bootlegs from Fly By Night all the way to Signals. Um, I learned all the solos from the first solo because they got two solo albums. They had back then. I think they got another one, but the first one was All the World's a Stage. It was, as a matter of fact, it was All the World's a Stage, and then they came out with um, A Farewell to Kings, and they came out with 2112. Then they came out with Hemispheres. Then they came out with Permanent Waves. Then they came out with Moving Pictures. Then they came out with Exit Stage Left, and that was the big solo. Then they came out with Signals after that. After that, I have moved on to like really like hip hop and I was making beats and stuff like that. I was doing a lot of production. At that time, drummers were getting fired, so I really focused on making beats, production, engineering, a lot of stuff like that. But I never gave up drums. It was just like, okay, they don't need drummers, but I'm gonna get it where I fit in somewhere else. So I learned how to, produce, arrange, write songs. I learned how to make beats. I learned how to, use an SP12. I learned how to use, SP1200. I learned how to use an MPC. I learned all that stuff, sequencing, like all that stuff. I learned all that stuff. I learned engineering. My boy Joey DeMeo ran a studio. He was a studio engineer, and I just hung out with him. And it would be from time to time. He'd be like, "Hey, Mark, I need you to play drums on these demos," and he'd have guys come in, and I would play drums on the demos. You know, but outside of that, I just kind of still play drums off on my own. But a lot of my friends just stopped playing because it was like they either stopped playing or like a lot of rock and roll guys they kept going because they had metal. Metal was really popping. It was still on and popping. Back then it was a lot of you know Van Halen was still doing their thing. You know, Van Halen. Metallica, Megadeth, Flotsam and Jetsam, Anthrax, um, bands like that. And then on the West Coast you have bands like Suicidal Tendencies, bands like that. But on the East Coast, man, dudes were getting fired. They were, and this was back. A lot of people don't know this. Ride the Lightning was on Megaforce Records. Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All were on Megaforce Records out of Saddlebrook, New Jersey, and I'm from Long Branch, a couple towns away. And Metallica used to play like keg parties on the Jersey Shore. They used to play keg bar. You can Google this stuff. Like their first two albums were on Megaforce. Then they got bought out by Epic. Epic, paid Megaforce for their contract. That's when they got really, really big. But yeah, Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. Um, Ride the Lightning was re-released on on Epic Records, either Epic or Elektra. I think it was Epic. Um, but yeah, like I remember going to the Beacon Theater seeing Metallica. Well, this is when Cliff was still alive. You know, um, I remember Kirk Hammett. He said, I got a new scale for you effers to learn." And he starts playing a theme to the Munsters in his guitar solo. And he just goes. He starts off with the theme to the Munsters, and he goes off into his own thing. I saw Van Halen when they opened up for Black Sabbath in '78. Um, I saw them in Asbury Park at the Asbury Park Convention Center. They were. I wasn't really into Van Halen. I didn't understand Van Halen one. I didn't like it. It was over my head. It was completely over my head. It was like so foreign to me. Then my dad took me. My dad is like he was a pretty well known singer in Jersey. He's in like the New Jersey Music Hall of Fame, all that stuff. But he took me there, and um, he they were the Asbury Park Convention Hall is ancient. It's old. You know, everything's been retrofitted and everything, but it's really, really old. Um, like Woodrow Wilson is president, old. Um, but Teddy Roosevelt, you know what I mean? James A. Garfield, that old. Camp David used to be the Camp David back in the day. Camp David's, you know, that's where the president goes to vacation. Well, before Camp David, presidents would go to Long Branch, New Jersey. They would stay in the town that I lived in. Um, you know, I lived in a beach resort town on the Jersey Shore. Um, but my dad took me to that concert, and dude, they were rocking so hard and playing so loud. They had a retrofitted drop ceiling, and the tiles were falling from the ceiling. It was crazy. After that, man, we sat through like half a Sabbath set, and Ozzy was all drunk. I was like, "Dad, I want to go home." My dad was like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." Ever since that, I saw that. I was an instant fan, instant fan. Um, but yeah, so you know, and then hip hop came around, and dudes like there was a bunch of came up with a bunch of drummers, but dudes just stopped playing, you know. So then I was playing metal, you know, and then after that, I was like I said, I got into like you know making beats and everything because I told myself I was like I'll never like I learned how to play bass. You know, I had already messed around with guitar, but I got better at guitar. Um, you know, because I was like, the next band I'm in, they're gonna need me. They're gonna miss me bad. If I leave, they're gonna miss me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I've been around a while, a long while. Ah, Bramarag, thank you, John. What up, man? Um, outside of the usual Sunday joints, not really. I'm actually doing a lot of recording, man. I got like I got a gig coming up um in like 2 weeks. Yeah, like 2 weeks. I got a gig coming up in 2 weeks. Up in oh man, oh man, it's near. Oh man, it's Buford, near the Buford Dam in Buford, Georgia. Manny, you're from Metro A, so you know what I'm talking about. It's in Buford. But yeah, man. Um, it's like a porch jam. Um, so a couple of my friends they play bluegrass. So they're like, "Hey man, you mind sitting in?" I'm like, "Nope, don't mind at all." Um, so yeah, and it's all I do it like every year. It's fun. But it's only May, so I'll probably be gigging a lot this summer. I'll be gigging a lot because it's just starting to, people are calling like, "Hey man, we need a drummer for A, B, and C." A lot of stuff I'm kind of turning down now because I need to buckle down. I got a lot of recording to do, and I just been putting it off. So like I just got sent two songs today. You know, guy was like, "Hey man, I got a song I need you to play on." Okay. Oh well, since you're gonna play on that, here, take this one too. So you know, ah, he said he likes my T-shirt. I like it too, man. All right, guys. My wife made dinner.